Let me get that closer. Let's see. Move it over a smidge. Oh, let's see. That looks good. Hey, Rock Butcher. There, I think that's pretty good. Oh, I understand. When her son comes to visit in a month or so, we'll get it all set up. But that's what we're waiting for. We got the hardware. We got more hardware coming in, and then we'll have a techie to set it up. So yeah. Hey Jeff. Hey Harry. Oh, let's see. Harry, you work with the guy that is Boss Recreational Prospecting, right? You're his buddy there. If I'm not mistaken, I'm getting pretty forgetful. I'm glad to amuse. Yeah. So you're working on the glycine leaching, correct, Harry? You were doing some testing on that. Oh, because our free sample of glycine showed up. Oh, I agree. I say we'll discuss it with the techie when he's here. The hair's really ugly.
Glycine does take gold, but does not take copper. If you add sodium percarbonate or oxygen.
Okay. Are you going to have the recipe and parameters on that video, Harry? Because today the Chemical Montana called up and said that our free sample of glycine had showed up. I'd called them, a month or so ago with the concept of getting a bulk price on glycine because the small quantities that we have, would be uh, easy to get from, Amazon or something like that. And he said he'd call, check around. Then he called back and said we got a couple guys looking at a price, and one guy wanted to send a free sample, and I said, sure, that'd be cool. And today they called up and said, well, your free sample's here. So we frolicked over there while we were doing all our other errands and this and that. And they said, oh yeah, got your sample over here in the back.
Did they get a price for the sample?
I really don't know, Chris, because I was too shocked. Because this free sample was a 50-pound sack. Uh, it was amazing. And then the lady commented, yeah, all we had to do is pay the shipping. And I said, well, how much is that? Because I thought, you know, I would at least pay the shipping. And she goes, $120, but we'll cover it. And so, it's absolutely free. So, yeah, I said we got 50 pounds of glycine.
So many moles of glycine, but doesn't say.
Probably be moles per liter, but it's hard to tell.
We
What
will test.
if it's quick? Could you just give me the quick recipe right now? Because I know you're using glycine, water, an oxidizer, and a temperature. Glycine is actually, I believe, an amino acid. It's literally food grade.
It's a food additive.
It I don't know if it's an additive or a supplement or something like that. But anyhow, yeah, you can buy it, uh, and
It's something bodybuilders eat.
yeah, and so I mean, it would be hard for the EPA to get all upset about a grade product in your leaching solution. So I say I believe it needs a slightly elevated temperature and a little bit of oxidizer there. Yeah, Rock. What Eva wants to do when she gets her silver mine, you know what a mole is in terms of a gram molecular weight. Well, she wants to make little cast mole sculptures that weigh exactly 1 gram molecular weight of silver.
I also want to deal with copper.
And so she makes silver moles. But anyhow,
I also want to deal with copper. I want to make an entire periodic table out of moles, interactive.
yeah. So anyhow, that was a really shocking surprise. Hey, Brian, and and yeah, do you have the formula for your glycine solution you were using? We just got a 50-pound sack for free. Believe it or not. Uh, I take that as a hint from the powers that be. Yeah, I agree, Brian. Although I think caps and an exclamation point. When they said they were going to send me a free sample, I figured it would be about this big. you know, and 130. That's what I remembered. Okay, thank you. Sodium percarbonate, huh? That would be the OxyClean, I believe, correct? And so I say that was a real surprise.
130 degrees, yikes.
Yeah, that's why I don't think it'll work well on a pad leach or anything like that. I would think probably also, Chris. That was my thought also.
Yeah, like that's what I want to talk to Chris.
Yeah. As you noticed on the thumbnail, we did get to see some, um, you know, boy, my brain is going crazy. Aurora, yeah, the polar lights. What do they call that? Something northern lights. Okay. 15 grams per liter. 15 grams per liter glycine. Hey, John. Boreal, yeah, Aurora Borealis. So 100 grams solids per liter, so 10 to 1.
pH 12.
pH 12. What do you adjust the pH with? Sodium hydroxide? Wow, pretty good, Chris. NaOH. And how many grams sodium percarbonate per liter?
Sodium hydroxide.
Yeah. And
well, Chris says sodium peroxide from Sally Beauty should work too.
Yeah. I say we will try some experimentation here shortly.
We will try many things.
Okay. Another. We got a lot of stuff. See all that stuff on the board? Lots of stuff on the board. The mill, the test mill out at the ranch is now ready for testing. I've run just some very preliminary tests. Have the sluice set up into the agitation tank. The bob mill set up to blow up into a dust collector and slurrier at the head of the sluice. And I did just a few little tests. I think I was probably running too much water or too much slope. And so we'll check it out tomorrow. And so as I will be spending most of the day out there tomorrow doing some stuff. We're going to start with some ore from top of the hill. And it was so damp this morning that before I got 50 pounds run through, it had completely plugged up the outlet of the mill. Considering the outlet is this big, it's pretty significant. But we'll have to crush up some unscreened material so that we can kind of dry it out and reduce the amount of clays.
Chris has a suggestion there.
Okay. Sounds good, Chris. I'm sure we can look up some literature and get some other stuff. But that should be ready to go. Clearly, we need some adjustments on the sluice and both the angle and the liquid amounts, I think. Let's see. Now, yesterday we had a really good day. We went down to Butte to visit a gentleman named Jeff.
Secret Creek may be Jeff.
I don't think Secret Creek is Jeff.
Well, Secret Creek is somebody. Hi.
Yeah.
Hi, Secret.
Yeah, it's not a big problem, Chris. So I'm just getting very started on that, and we have a lot of parameters. Shouldn't be a problem. We got a variety of different sluice materials to check. We have a VDR mat. We've got Gold Hog mat, and I'm going to get to something else in just a minute here that we're going to try here real quick, magnetic sluicing. But anyhow, we went over to visit with Jeff yesterday and his family. Nice people, had a great time, and had a good food. Had a lot of time to talk. Jeff is pretty new to the actual mining business. He's got a number of claims. He's fairly familiar with the claim staking process, but is just getting started on the mining and the milling stuff. So he's still way down on the learning curve. So it was good to get over there and help him get a little informed on some things. One thing that he mentioned that just instantly took my level way up was he said when he and his buddy were digging out this mine, they had presumed it was a portal basically to an adit, and they were digging it out. At the far end, they've now got some bedrock exposed, and it's not an adit opening in the normal sense. And he said as they were digging, it started sounding hollow. Now, when you ever start hearing something hollow when you're digging hard rock, you've got an issue. Okay? An extremely dangerous issue. Hard rock doesn't sound hollow. Loose rocks sound hollow. I suspect that what he's got is an old mine that has been sealed up. They basically built a deck or something and then buried it in. It looks to me visually like it may be the top of a stope that's broken through the surface. And so I told him in no uncertain terms, don't go back there without serious and adequate fall protection.
Yeah, that's what Chris said.
You've got to have that because you're probably looking at, say, a deck or something that they used to seal so they could bury it and hide it. Very likely back in the 40s when they shut down gold mining for the war, they would have done that. I mean, if I had a good mine and I had to go to war, I would have done that, damn sure. So I'm very glad we were able to discuss that with him before he proceeded any further.
They are some nice people and amazing hosts.
Yeah. So I say that was really important thing. But yeah, you should never hear anything hollow. Hollow is danger. So that was important. He also had a device that he'd purchased called a gold strike, which is a form of extraction apparatus. I do not know for sure exactly what it is. I have a good idea how it works, I believe, but it's literally a black box. It's sealed, it's riveted shut, and all this. It's got some plumbing on various things, and you basically put your material in there. I believe it's probably lutriation columns inside, but I really don't know, Chris. I would presume some kind of upwelling fluidized bed.
Because it's pneumatic.
No, it's not pneumatic, little one.
Well, I got an air pump attached.
Yeah, because the air pump is there only to operate the valves, period. To operate the drain valves. It's completely unnecessary. You could do it manually. Okay?
Why would you have it at 40 pounds pressure? I wonder.
In order to keep the valves closed. It's got air actuated valves.
That's bizarre.
Yes, it is bizarre. Exactly. So, anyhow, it did recover gold. Now, what we did, we took over there about roughly 30 pounds of pulverized top of the hill, because that's what I'm working with right now. And I wanted to see how well the gold strike did the job. Now, you had the gold strike, which is literally a black box. You can't see what goes on inside it. You feed stuff here, you hook up hoses there, you drain stuff here, etc. Okay? But when your slurry comes out of the gold strike, then there's a kind of a bucket catchment sort of thing to catch more gold. And then there's a magnetic sluice. Wonderful, that worked well. Luckily, nothing important sweat. And anyhow, we took all of the various products, every stage from the head grade to the tailings, and panned each one separately to see what was going on. The gold strike was recovering gold. It was recovering reasonably fine gold. It recovered a couple pieces of wire gold and some chunks of, I think, native copper. It's clearly copper. Okay. In the first, the coarse outlet. Okay. But what I was very impressed with was the magnetic sluice. No, I didn't. That would be really cool. John says a farmer out east, just found 900 coins.
Wow.
800 were double eagles.
Holy crap.
Yeah, pretty much. But anyhow, when we panned the concentrates of that magnetic sluice, it had done a very good job uh, recovering the very fine gold. It was down to 400 or 500 mesh in that range. Did a very nice job. So I got some magnetic material today, and we'll be trying that as one of the options in my sluice too. And we're just using that sluice tray that we originally made for just sluicing our uh, spent ore from the agitation tank. And the wood that it was, the primary structure's wood has gotten a little bit of a twist. Not a lot, but it doesn't take much in a sluice. So I can see what I can do to kind of tweak things a little bit. So
Harry says somebody got fancy.
Yeah. I think some of it's deliberate fancy for looks. I mean, I can't see why you need air valves to open and close a valve when you're right there. So as I say, we're going to be trying that out too. And as I say, we got a lot to do there. Oh, and we really need to adjust the Eco Gold X concentration and stuff in that tank.
Okay.
Probably after I finish sluicing the stuff to begin with.
Yeah.
Because that way it won't dissolve any more than needed.
Yeah. I mean, that was what I thought we had.
Anyhow.
Before.
Of course, they're pretty convenient, but not when you can reach there.
We had discussed before that would be the procedure.
Yeah. I mean, you got an air compressor, hoses, a manifold to run valves, 3 air valves, approximately 1.5 inch openings. I'm not sure what it was. It was neck down, and it might actually have been a smaller one. They were about this big around. How much is all that going to cost you, Chris? I presume air valves are going to be in the neighborhood of $30 to $50 each. So, I mean, just looking at the whole thing, I'm seeing $300 or $400 worth of hardware. And saying, yeah, they work fine, but it's.
Well, the part that was ridiculous, the part that was unexpected, I should say, was the fact that so much gold made it onto the sluice with all those extra catch devices.
Well, the stuff that was on that made it all the way to the sluice was the finest gold. Hey, Jimmy, how's it going? Did you see anything down there in Cardwell? That picture was taken up.
Pelican Point.
No, that one wasn't. That was further back towards it. Probably between Pelican Point and Wolf Creek, probably closer to Wolf Creek. But I say, to me, it's nice, but I don't see it as being terribly important. And to make it a requirement is just going to add cost. So I say, to me, that should be an optional sort of thing. No, Harry, a magnetic sluice, you take a piece of magnetic material. Now, you can set it up in a million different ways, but if you buy the kind of material like they have to put a sign on the side of a car, the magnetic field is not uniform in the slightest. What you have on one side, and Chris, why is that magnetic sign material only stick to the car on one side? If you've got your magnetic material here, I'm looking kind of at a 45-degree angle on it. What you have is a series of poles in line, so that if you put magnetic powder on it, it forms a series of ridges, kind of like corduroy. Okay, it's not even at all. So it makes a series of lines. So if you have your stuff sluicing this way, it's like real small riffles.
Chris says haulback array, probably.
Well, that is clear as mud. I guess he expects it. He'll probably put a link up in just a second. But anyhow, it creates these nice little ridges of magnetite, or in my case, there will be a lot of tramp iron. And yeah, Jimmy, it wasn't real spectacular. Oh, another point, everyone. We found, first of all, that trying to take videos either with the camcorder or with her camera didn't work. But the viewfinders, now in her case, she could take still pictures, no problem. But I presume it has to do with like shutter speed or something like that. But if you're looking through your cell phone as a camera, you can see the aurora much better. It does two things. It makes it brighter, and it gives you color. Your dim light vision receptors, I believe it's the rods, and the cones are the color, but anyhow, they're not color receptors. So when you're looking up at the sky, unless it's real bright aurora, it looks more just white, And so by using your camera, you could see it much clearer. And it was interesting because the second night, when we went out Saturday night, we had the city lights of Helena, the aurora, which looked like clouds lit up by city light, but you could see stars too. And anyhow, if you looked through your camera, you could see the aurora was green and purple, as Chris was just saying. But when you turned around and looked at the city lights, you didn't get that at all.
Yeah, when I pointed my phone camera at sky glow from city lights, my camera didn't show me squat. When I pointed my camera at the aurora, I got those pretty pictures.
Yeah. Yes, it was visually to the eye, they were very, very similar. Visually to the camera, radically different. Quite interesting.
Well, I could tell they were visually different to my eyes, but I see better than you.
Yeah. So the matting that Jeff had the cones are black and white. Okay, so the rods are the color then. But anyhow, I am kind of curious about that one too, John. So there's all kinds of things we could try. Right now, I'm going to do the simplest.
Slurpee machine?
Don't ask. Somebody already has.
Yeah.
To turn the rotor. But anyhow, so let's say there's a lot of possibilities. Again, you know me. Simpler is better, all else being equal. I would suspect, since I'm using leaching solution, that it would probably be better on the long run, if the magnetic sluice seems to be the way to go, to preload the sluice with magnetite, which is already thoroughly oxidized, so it's not going to tend to corrode. And maybe use a magnetic separator ahead of that to pull out the tramp iron, because we have lots of tramp iron due to the impact milling. The tramp iron, on the other hand, it's going to tend to rust and corrode and clump and gets messy like that. So we'll see how it all works out. We have various options. Again, we'll see what the simplest and most effective is. I've been known to over-engineer stuff to begin with, and then make it simpler as time goes on. So we'll see what happens here. But we'll be starting testing there, and and we will see how that all works out. We're also gonna. It's supposed to be raining a bit tomorrow, so that may really complicate things with it. Really, Harry? I wasn't aware of that. Huh.
Transfer power to the rotor on the inside of the cold drum, huh?
No, the last one.
Yeah, I know. I'm reading that too.
Interesting.
Very interesting, Harry. I don't have any trouble seeing the color of the aurora. To me, when I looked at the sky glow without my phone, it looks very different from the aurora.
To me, it doesn't that much, but then my eyes are not noted for being exceptional.
One bad anyway. So it's a known fact.
Yeah, we drove, I don't know, 50 miles north up to Pelican Point on the Missouri River just to get away from all the lights, and it was pretty lackluster. But about midnight, when we started driving back, we got some decent displays. So it was a good night.
And then last night, almost nothing was going on, and then for a little, probably almost 10 minutes, it got pretty darn near half moon bright, and we got a really cool display. I got some great pictures, and then it disappeared again.
So we don't know. Now, according to Eva, the people watching these things say that next week we may have similar stuff. We got a couple of sunspots coming around into orientation that may be pretty good.
Yeah, a couple of them are already flaring up now.
And anyhow, so as I say, we may get some aurora too. Also, last week it was a little exciting for me. As you remember, there was a bit of weather issues going on, and in the southeast. Now, in general, I'm kind of interested in that stuff. However, my grandson and son-in-law were driving from Amarillo, Texas to North Carolina at exactly that time. So it turned out that they started well behind the trailing formation of thunderstorms. So the trailing line. The leading line did most of the tornadoes and damage, but there was a trailing line that had a lot of thunderstorms and stuff too. And forget where they were. I think they were past Memphis, but anyhow, there was a truck that got blown over semi truck, and so they were stuck in traffic for about 3 hours. But that delayed them enough that when they pushed on from that, and they generally alternate sleeping and stuff and just only stop for gas and restrooms, they were behind all of the real severe weather until they got home. So that worked out pretty well. And it was a little bit of a nervous night, but not too much, because everyone was alerted and paying attention and that. So Devin could look at his smartphone and keep track of the weather. Nope, you snooze, you lose. And so I wasn't too worried unless they got encircled by something. If a new line of thunderstorms formed behind them and then started pushing forward, then they might have had a problem. So that did not. So they really didn't. There was another line like a day and a half behind them is all. But that's it.
Oh, AC. Wow.
That's minimal overburden there. So anyhow, it's been a very, very eventful week between all of these various things. And say we're finally up and running again.
2 Instagram view.
I don't know, honey bunny. So I say it's nice having plenty to do again, and especially as now Lauren is going to be out in the field a lot now, so I won't be over there helping him on his truck. But I got plenty of other stuff to do tomorrow morning. I'm going to see about getting a video or so compiled, and then you got to say that, you got to type that with a Mexican accent, Rock. So I say that things have kind of worked out well, and I also kind of have a feeling with that, giant sample of glycine that just appeared free and for nothing. I'm kind of getting the idea that we're supposed to do some research on that. Just like, say, we went over to Jeff's place yesterday, and we were able to give him the advice on the hollow sound issue. Some other stuff, kind of inform him because he's so new at all this. And then also see how well his magnetic sluice worked. So all in all, I say things seem to be falling in place, which I take as a sign that we're doing the right things. When things are just naturally falling in place for no good reason. I mean, quite often things fall in place because of good preparation, but some things like Jeff found us because of the Discovery Channel thing, and that was good. I mean, they're nice people. He's got a great family, and I'm so happy that we can maybe help him out there. Seems to be a good hard worker and stuff. He's so early on the learning curve that it makes stuff tough. So we can probably help him out quite a bit, and that's always fun. And last night Eva she disappeared after dinner and stuff, and I was talking with Jeff and his wife and I don't know if it's his mother or his mother-in-law. I forget. He's got both of them there, so I can't keep track of who's who. You know, Sina. But anyhow, Eva disappeared with the 5-year-old and came back like a half an hour later or something. Says, "How come you didn't comment on how nice my makeup is that she's put on?" She was having fun with a 5-year-old. It's so cool. Eva loves children. She just loves children. She adores them. And so it was so cool. I think I might have sprained my abdominal muscles playing tug of war with the German Shepherd. She was pretty energetic at the beginning of the encounter. After a couple of hours, she kind of mellowed out a bit. But we had a great time, and when we came home, it was just about timing to see any aurora that happened, which wasn't much yesterday. So let's say everything worked out real well, and we had a wonderful time. And hopefully, we're able to do some things that'll have significant help for him. And that magnetic sluice reminded me of that too, and I'll be trying that. It may turn out well for us. Cool, honey bunny. Yeah, it's like wow. It really came down far south this time, which was really cool. But up here, the aurora was actually overhead and some to the south too. I imagine where you were, honey buddy, was it overhead or was it just to the north? I mean, as in only when you were looking north could you see it. I'm curious as to how far it went south. If it was overhead, that's pretty far south.
Well, considering they were seeing it in Cuba.
Cuba? Oh,
yeah,
my
they
Lord.
had reports in from Cuba and northern Mexico. They saw it.
Wow.
There were photos online of people that had light sensitive equipment that were in the middle of nowhere.
Amazing.
Covered the entire sky, huh?
Sweet. That's the first time I've ever seen aurora. 68 years old, never seen aurora. Now, Lauren, he did a lot of work on the North Slope and the oil patch up there, and so he's seen a lot of aurora. I think Jim has seen it several times, only in Montana here. And Eva had seen it once before in Maine. I was just once. Yeah, well, not me, honey bunny. Desert rat. Well, I lived in Washington for a couple of years, but it was Bellingham. And there were times you go months without seeing the sun. The chances of having an aurora that was visible, theoretically visible, and clear skies were so close to zero as to be essentially indistinguishable. Oh, so let's say we got tomorrow. We need to probably ought to start by getting that stripper going, little one. I'll get that little cork and a few other little things done and get it running. And we can put a couple more.
Jim said we were too far north to see the best of it. He was.
Really?
I don't know. I saw some pretty stuff.
Yeah.
I got pictures.
Yeah, I'd say we should have at least a couple of loaded resin cartridges there. Is that your phone, my phone, or?
That's your phone. Ooh. My phone makes no noises. Dude.
Rock Butcher slideshow. Well, I don't know on my phone here. Let's see. Perhaps he also sent it to my email. We shall see.
The sulfides and the XRF results.
What little one?
Rock Butcher says it's the photos of the sulfides and the XRF results.
Oh. Okay, well.
Rock says he tried sending to your email, but it failed.
Bummer. I wonder why.
Try again.
Yeah. Can you forward it to me, little one? Or what?
He can try sending it to my phone, and then I can try emailing it to you.
Huh.
Or he can try sending it to my email,
I
and
see.
I can try forwarding it to you.
Yeah, the Jeff also had some results on some stuff. Jeff, if you're watching, I've got some analysis on that. He sent me some at the end of the night last night. I'm gonna get a rock star here. Oh.
He will be right back, folks.
It's called The Job. So that's about it in terms of the week. We had a busy, exciting, fun week.
Well, like I said, Rock can either try resending it to you, or he can try sending it to me on my email, and maybe we can forward it.
Yeah. Now, this isn't that chalcopyrite sample we handed you off, did it? Or was it the stuff we handed to you up there in Duluth? Yeah, but it was XR.
Okay, he sent it to the email. And
okay.
The Q.
Yeah, I saw that. Thank you.
Behave. Out of the Jasper in Arizona.
That looks good. I would generally be happy. Hey, Lars, how's it going? Did you see any of the northern lights down there? Oh.
Lars, no, got more northern lights, huh? That's Bobo.
I presume you mean the AU, correct? Rock? Just a burning car. Was it your car or somebody else's car? He just can't get past the old adage of rocket scientists: fire and smoke, fire and smoke. Anything will burn if you try hard enough, Lars. But anyhow, say we shall see what we do, what the stuff from the top of the hill does. Little one, in theory, We should be able to go to Montana B this weekend.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're going to, in terms of got a lot to get done first.
Yeah, in theory.
Yeah. Let's say we shall have to see. We got a lot to get done out at the mill. We're not short of ore right now, and so it's not that critical. So it can get complicated, honey.
Well,
Buddy.
everybody gets to stare at the added on film because he ain't going in it. So.
Well, we shall see what we shall see when we get something a little more cleaned out there. I'm just trying to find the vein. Where did that quartz come from is my question.
Oh, that's my question too. That doesn't mean you're going to get yourself killed finding out.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Well, we say we shall see what we got there. Hey, Tricky.
Hi, Tricky. Say hi to the babies.
So, say we're definitely Montana beef first, because we got to get that cleaned up and a few samples taken, and go from there. Oh. So that's about it right now.
For some reason, I'm not seeing the image of you on my screen at all. All I'm seeing is
the scrolling stuff.
The scrolling stuff and the thumbnail.
Huh. Is anyone else not seeing the video of me on the thing? Eva says she's not seeing the live video of me.
Oh, there you go. You came back again. I just had to reload you twice and close and open YouTube.
Oh, man. YouTube sucks. I don't know who you're looking at, David. How much per pound for the glycine? We got it for free. And I forgot to ask what the thing was to say. I was just so startled when they said you got.
Yeah, but the shipping's going to be horrible.
Free sample was 50 pounds. Oh.
Well, the shipping's going to be out.
Yeah, they said the shipping was $120, but.
Oh, wow. Large. That's awful.
Yeah, that was pretty shocking. I was expecting like a 2-pound bag. From who? I think it was GEO. I don't know. I saw the. I deal with Chemical Montana up here, and they were. I just asked him to get me a bulk price, and when he was doing that, yeah, somebody offered to send us a free sample, and he said sure. And so, guy says, "Hey, your free sample's here. Come pick it up." I was like, "Yeah, you're not just going to pick it up with a finger." And
the fairy god scientist came through.
Yeah. So anyhow, we'll find out. But yeah, I was like, what are you going to do with that receipt? Do you remember?
And it's folded up and in the console of the van.
In the console of the van, huh?
Yeah.
Did you notice that there was a bulk price anywhere on it?
I did not see
just
any
the shipping,
bulk price anywhere on it. That's why
Yeah.
we have to get detailed anyway, because if it works, we're going to need to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, tricky.
I don't think so, Lars. I'm just such a nice guy. Things happen.
Ooh.
Sweet Tricky.
Yeah, I want to see video.
Just stay safe. That's the main thing.
Picture, it didn't happen.
I don't know, Brian. Apparently, the dissolution of gold is not as difficult as we've been led to believe. You know? But we got plenty to play with now, at least. By the way, how do you get the gold out of the glycine solution? I forget.
Hi, Mr. Virtue.
Hey, Mr. Virtue. Oh, you precipitate it with ammonia or dissolve it?
Oh, look at that. Now Brian's bragging about having a lab.
Oh, man. Zinc or carbon? Okay. So, we got loads to do. But I'm tired. I don't know why. I think that staying up late chasing auroras took a little out of me. Carbon said to be 100% of it. Yeah, but then you got to get it out of the carbon. How do you recover it from the carbon, Brian? I mean, loaded carbon is not very saleable. Yeah, honey bunny, it sure does. And I know exactly what happens if it's been loaded with Eco Gold X. Most of the gold goes up the stack too.
Definitely hit it, huh?
Yeah.
Whoa.
And keep it under wraps, Tricky. That's the most important thing. No, but it does vaporize, honey bunny.
Volatilization happens.
Yeah, see, it's not gold, it's gold complexes. Chris sent us something from the Bureau of Mines where they did. It was gold chloride and silica sand, and they went and uh, heated it to, what was it, 300? I think it was 300 F.
Yeah.
And 5% of the gold disappeared, vaporized. However, when they put iron pyrite in there, which is not unusual to find, 95% of the gold vaporized.
Yeah.
In our case,
we have.
When we dry the resin at room temperature, let's say we get X amount of gold. If we dry it at 140 degrees, 145 degrees, I think it was just a kitchen desiccator sort of thing, we lost about 30% of the gold. When we put it in the oven at 400 degrees, we lost 50% of the gold to vaporization. It was quite annoying.
Especially since I had said from the beginning that I thought
something
was going on.
The initial thought with the Eco Gold X was direct electrowinning out of solution, but it didn't work due to a number of factors.
Uh-oh.
And then the next idea was resin absorption and then smelt the resin down. Well, the smelting didn't work very well. And so, yeah. Yeah, I understand, Honey Bunny, but as I say, when you strip it, you don't have to worry about that. So that's why we're stripping it now. It took us a while to find an effective stripping solution, too. And we still have yet to successfully regenerate the resin, although we have some experiments lined up so that we can then reuse the resin. And so it's okay, Honey Bunny. We understand, but again, it's if you vaporize it and turn it into very, very fine particles, even if you can contain it in a pressure vessel, now you still got to get it out of the pressure vessel. Whatever's the simplest, and is usually because, for example, I don't use a pressure vessel at all. I use a bucket and a few other little things, and it seems to work pretty well. Yeah, I know, Honey Bunny. We keep getting more and more and more and more things, as opposed to I got something that already works. Costs $100. You know, not a problem. So, if you're using the zinc, you need to decrease the pH of the glycine. Okay, Honey Bunny, I'll be happy to send you some more and you can play with it. I have none of those things here. And, yep, exactly.
How come none of these geniuses can ever tell me how to get silver out of ore reliably?
Because it's real easy. Well, silver is almost always soluble in something easy.
Yeah, I know, except for the fact that we cannot get it to friggin' load on the resin and stay there.
Because nobody cares, because it's not valuable enough in those lower concentrations. You know, that's why when you're talking fractions of an ounce per ton silver, nobody cares. Because as Chris just mentioned, you spend more money in equipment and consumables than you recover. It's no sense. So, I say that's why you get 200 ounce to the ton silver. Sure, rock and roll. It's around here. You know, we just don't have any of it we're dealing with yet. Who knows? Jeff Kablock might have something out there.
He said that his dump that we're going to be testing has a lot of silver.
Yeah.
And we probably have a whole lot building up on the pad.
It's hard to tell. Wow. You see what Rock just said?
Yeah, I see.
Yeah. So that's the issue, little one. Say it's not nobody cares. It's nobody cares in that smaller quantity. It'll be like gold at 0.01 ounces. 0.001 ounces per ton. Hey, Red Wing, how's it going? You know, one thing I noticed, Red Wing, we use impact milling generally. You use ball milling. Your gold gets mashed really flat. Ours gets rolled up into balls. And depending upon what you're doing with it, you know, one or the other might be more advantageous. But I mean, even in the very small scales, like, 100 mesh particles and stuff, it's still little balls from that thing, which is, I say, so dramatically different from what you've got that it's just quite striking. I'm not sure, Harry. I'm pretty sure we tried venting all that stuff really likely. Wasn't it? Was it burning or just heating it that smelled like fish? I remember the smell like fish thing.
The smell like fish thing is the amines in the leach tank and in the resin when it's in bags. Oh yeah, it really smells like fish when you cook it.
Yeah.
I already said it smells like crap. Yep. Ricky has a question.
What?
It's right there. Anyone have experience with lewisite?
No. I presume that's a chemical agent. Lewisite. Let me see. Powerful irritant and blistering agent that immediately damages the because it contains arsenic. CDC emergency preparedness. Chemical warfare agent. Oily colorless liquid.
Yeah, Tricky says, yep, it is.
Odor like geraniums until you blister to death, huh? Contains arsenic. Military designation L. 1918. No medical or other practical use. Not found naturally. Powerful irritant, blistering agent.
Nerve gas?
No. More. It's a chemical agent, but it's not nerve gas.
Yeah, it sounds like some sort of a war weapon to me.
Oh yeah, exactly. Well, let's see. It says, quote here, lewisite has been used only as a chemical warfare agent. It has no medical or other practical uses. Okay. Immediate signs and symptoms. How people can protect themselves. Leave the area. Well, that's not exactly useful here. Remove clothing, rapidly wash. Treatment consists of basically getting it away from you.
Brian wants 2 pounds of glycine. Shall we just give it to him?
I don't see a problem with that, as long as we get information in return. An antidote for lewisite is available and is most useful if given as soon as possible after exposure. Okay. So apparently there is some kind of lewisite. No, Brian, I can't give you any of that. He's trying to avoid getting involved with it, John. And he's in areas where, there have been wars in the past, so interesting things can happen. It's kind of like in Germany and stuff, they keep finding undetonated bombs. So it...
Jobs left it in draft.
Yep. There was nothing on the CDC website that was terribly useful, Tricky, except there is some kind of an antidote, I presume, if you ingest it. And I presume that's more for the arsenic that it contains. And so in terms of the actual chemical effects, the corrosion, irritation, blistering, and stuff like that, I doubt that it does that. It's once it gets in your body, but apparently they can do something to some effect. But the main thing was just get it the hell off of you as quick as possible. Wash quickly and rapidly and thoroughly. So wasn't terribly helpful. Yeah, pretty much. But what the heck? So, yeah, it doesn't sound like fun.
Glass vials under pressure.
Oh, what could possibly go wrong, Tricky? If you just crack the glass, get rid of the pressure. Hey, Ryan, how's it going? Don't have to worry about it. It's a different country. It's in the Philippines. Yeah, no, those are nerve gases, little one. Sarin and VX. Yeah, it's nothing we're having to deal with, Ryan. It's only Tricky Dickie's problem. That's why we always like to see him show up again after a week. So he plays with stuff I would avoid. But
yeah, we want Kodak to come visit.
Yeah. That's correct, honey bunny. That's I don't know about infamous, Ryan, but yeah, he's usually busy, honey bunny. He's got lots of things to do and such. We're proud of him, though. He's a. I keep thinking a kid, but you're not a kid anymore, man. You're a man. But yeah, he's a good man. Eva raised two good sons. So is everything working reasonably well for you, Jim? I know you've got a lot of confidentiality to deal with, but
ooh, Tricky's gonna visit too.
Well, it's gotten a lot warmer.
Everyone must converge on Montana and stay here.
That sounds dangerous.
And establish residency before the election.
And good luck on that one, Ryan. I get to listen to a lot of stuff, so yeah, that's challenging. Oh. He's one of those strange things, a good bureaucrat who actually tries to do his job well and do the right thing and get things done.
And if his boss wasn't a total muppet, she is.
Well, she might, look too. Yeah, I told her, Ryan.
I didn't say which boss.
Shh. This is public. Okay.
Okay.
That's good, Jim. Yeah, I just got another foot last week. Yeah, you'll find it quite pleasant here, even in the middle of summer, I'm sure, just because of the much lower humidity. What was it? Last Wednesday it was snowing? Yeah, it was.
I think it was last Wednesday.
Yeah, last Wednesday, Tricky, I was working at the mill in the snow. I had to do a lot of stuff kneeling. My knees got very, very cold. So it's on the other hand, it was like 75, 80 degrees today. Uh, so, oh my God, 2 feet of snow, man. Oh, so yeah. I don't think Montana B will be a problem. I think it's at about 5,000 feet. I'm pretty sure it's all melted off by now.
Well, the mountains look like they are.
Yeah, well, it's not in the mountains. It's below the mountains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, they are missing snow.
No, I say, I don't know if we can get up there this weekend or not. I have to get everything all lined out and stuff. I'm thinking probably leave next Wednesday. That'll give us plenty of times. uh,
Oh, okay. Everything below 7,000 feet.
yeah, said Montana B will be fine. Top of the hill will be open shortly. So we'll be busy. Oh, anyhow. So, have you ever used magnetic sluices for ultrafine gold, Jim? I wouldn't think you would because when you're dealing with placer, you're always going to have like quarter-inch stuff or whatever. In my case, I'm dealing with a lot finer material. The prairies are on fire already. Man. You guys just really, really have a problem. Now, do the fires kill the black flies? That's the important question. Or do they attract them? Well, yeah, that's what I was wondering. I was thinking, you might have to, because we're going to have a lot of tramp iron, and so we might have to put a magnetic separator ahead of the magnetic sluice if we go that way.
Bye,
You
Tricky.
take care,
Kiss
Tricky,
the babies.
and be safe.
Oh, wow.
It was kind of funny, Jim. This morning I cranked up the new mill basically. Everything was integrated, and I was just trying to do a little preliminary testing to see what I needed to get today so tomorrow I could get more done. And the material I had stockpiled was so wet, so damp. It's not really wet, but it's got a little bit of clay in it. and it completely sealed up the interior of that mill. I mean, nothing was coming out.
Brian says 96% of his gold's in the magnetic.
Yeah. Say sometimes it's real good. That's why you just have to test.
Sometimes you get lucky.
Yeah. And Brian's, remember we tried magnetic separation 2 little one up at Butte?
Yeah.
Because we just wanted to, give that a shot, because exactly what Brian has is what I thought we might be able to have. And it didn't work. Yeah, Jim, I got a bunch of coarser material that doesn't have any fines in it where I was sieving it. So I should be able to blend enough. And it's supposed to get wet tomorrow. It's supposed to rain, which is going to be a problem. But then after that, I can literally spread stuff out and just let it sun dry pretty quickly, and it doesn't take much. Exactly, Chris. It's amazing how tightly it packs, especially because this is from surface, basically, and it has a bit of clay in it, and it does pack pretty good. So, yeah, I say we shall see. I don't see it. I've had to deal with these kinds of issues before. The Bob mill is less sensitive to moisture content than the Stutenroth was. And
roof is slanted.
Yeah, the roof is slanted. We can just lay it on the ground. Got lots of ground, honey bunny. Lots of flat ground. And that's what we've done in the past. Because, you get everything all nicely crushed and stockpiled and ready for pulverization, then rain comes. I also got the pregnant pond was completely pumped out today, and then I took the cover off, cleaned all the needles away from everything.
Rock.
Take care, Rock. And then hosed down the inside and pumped out all the slimes and stuff, so that any solution it collects from now on should be pretty nice and clean, and work well through the resin. I don't know how much trouble the resin is, but the resin cartridges have these little filters at each end to hold in the resin, and they tend to plug up with clay. You had an extreme floating situation with the glycine, huh? So it likes to float the gold. So you're probably going to need some kind of a good agitation leech there, where you can drag it in. But hopefully it'll dissolve it so fast. An agitation leak's not a big problem. Okay. Yeah, hopefully it shouldn't be too much of an issue in an agitation leach. If you're 96% of your gold is in the magnetics, then crush it, do a magnetic separation, then glycine leach the magnetics. Oh, hey Chris, did you see the Dave Turin episode with us on it? Did you manage to catch that? Oh, well, if you do, let me know what you think about it. I won't say anything. I didn't think it was too bad for us, but there was one big technical error that Dave made. Send a link if you have one. Not to the full episode, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think either. It is on Discovery Plus, and it's on Max now, I believe. I haven't found it free on YouTube yet.
Yeah, we haven't found a free version anywhere yet. We watched it over at Lauren's. He was watching the Discovery Channel. Did you notice the big technical error at the beginning, Jim? That Dave said? You know? Yeah, I think ours came out okay, although they completely missed the resin stage of the whole thing. What they showed of us was incomplete. It did not give an accurate representation, but it didn't give false information. Yeah, except for that one at the beginning, which I think was significant with the molten rock thing.
Everybody.
And Eva was saying, why didn't you tell me I look bad and gray? It's like,
bad in braids, dude.
Braids?
Bad in braids.
I thought it was gray.
Hello.
Yeah, I know you weren't happy with the braids either, but yeah.
Now y'all may have noticed I updated the millions column here just a couple of minutes ago. It's already gone up by 2.5 million since I wrote that number up there. So hi everybody. Another blessedly silent news week. Just saying. Though Pope Francis, is that his name, Francis? Yeah, I think it is. Pope Francis has said that climate change is going to kill us all. And in other random news, a homosexual Episcopalian priest couple, 2 men, welcomed their wonderful surrogate baby home not long ago. And they're wondering why so many people are confused when they have announced that, yeah, it's absolutely totally a thing in the Bible that gay men are supposed to get married and have surrogate babies. I have to wonder which good book they're consulting for that one. I really do. I'm just saying. Hi.
That's a really new version.
Yeah. A really new version. Well, that's better than that other priest. I do believe he was an archbishop of something or other. Well, anyway, some archbishop or other somewhere pointed out that the Bible isn't exactly a factual thing and that people have been reading it wrong the whole time. He said this while he was emblazoned with rainbow pins and wearing a pink surplice thingy with his collar. Yeah. The goddess is beginning to get a little worried about religion these days. Anglo-American rejects BHP's revised $43 billion proposal. This is good. Well, not really good, but Anglo-American rejected on Monday BHP's latest takeover bid, which valued the company at £34 billion, billion with a B, stating it was highly unattractive for shareholders. Highly unattractive, mind you. The new offer received on May 7th was 10% higher than BHP's first one, representing a 15% increase in the merger exchange ratio. The rejected bid would have lifted Anglo-American shareholders' aggregate ownership in the combined group to 16.6% from 14.8% in the earlier proposal. And this was unattractive. On a scale of attractiveness from 1 to 10, the goddess is going to have to think about that one. The latest proposal continues to contemplate a structure which the board believes is highly unattractive for Anglo-American shareholders, given the uncertainty and complexity inherent and significant execution risks, the London-listed miner said in a statement. The revised bid was still contingent upon Anglo selling its shares in iron ore and platinum assets in South Africa. In April, Anglo-American had already rebuffed a $39 billion with a B all-share takeover proposal, stating it was opportunistic and significantly undervalued its prospects. My, they are playing hard to get now, aren't they? A merger would grant BHP approximately 10% of global copper production, enhancing its presence in leading copper-producing nations such as Chile and Peru. In acquiring Anglo American, BHP would secure ownership in four of the world's largest copper mines: Collahuasi, 44% ownership; Los Bronces, 51% ownership; El Soldado, 50.1%, and Quellaveco, 60%. This move would increase the company's copper exposure by approximately 40%. This part the goddess actually does not approve of. The goddess doesn't like monopolies. However, we are disappointed that this second proposal has been rejected. BHP Chief Executive Mike Henry said in a statement, BHP continues to believe a combination of the two businesses would deliver significant value for all shareholders. BHP has until May 22nd to log in a binding offer. BHP wants the prize, but it's not willing to take on the execution risk, said Ben Davis, an analyst at Liberium. They're hoping Anglo shareholders are frustrated enough with management that they pressure them to go for this. Why is this sounding like a bad soap opera, mining style? How bizarre. Meanwhile, shareholders of Anglo American are urging the company to accelerate the release of the turnaround plan. Since mid-2023, the company has been reviewing its business, scrutinizing every mine in the portfolio to reshape its operations. Shareholders want the miner to expedite this analysis and clarify to investors how it could generate more value than simply selling to a competitor. Anglo may unveil its strategy as soon as the upcoming week, coinciding with the gathering of the world's top mining executive at Bank of America's annual conference in Miami. Oh my, really now? According to sources familiar with the matter and cited by Reuters. Okay. Shares of Anglo American fell 1.3% by 11:10 p.m. Eastern. The miner has a market capitalization of £36.62 billion, billion with a B. BHP stocks were trading 0.4% higher at the same time with a market cap of $143.7 billion with a B dollars. Yeah, so things are still shaking out in odd directions in the copper side of mining here. The goddess isn't entirely surprised because copper is in a very schizophrenic position right now. There's a whole lot of different market forces that are beginning to operate on copper miners, so we're probably going to see more upheaval in this segment over time. Meanwhile, a fully loaded Rio Tinto autonomous train crashed in Australia. Okay, let's analyze.
Glad you enjoyed it, Mr. Virtue.
The goddess has doubts about this. A fully loaded Rio Tinto autonomous train crashes in Australia. And wow, that's a big ass train. Rio Tinto said on Monday one of its fully loaded autonomous iron ore trains had crashed with a set of stationary wagons in Western Australia's Pilbara region. The incident, the second of its kind this year, really now, took place about 80 kilometers outside the town of Karratha. While there were no people within the vicinity and no injuries, 22 wagons and 3 locomotives were impacted, a Rio spokesperson told the Australian Broadcast Corporation. Australia's Office of National Rail Safety Regulator said a recovery train reportedly crashed into the driverless iron ore train it was dispatched to retrieve following a mechanical failure.
What are you sorry for, Mr. Virtue? That looks like a compliment to me. Maybe he sees your husband. I don't know.
Thank you, Mr. Virtue. Wow, that's a little bit bizarre here. An unloaded autonomous train derailed in February at the Dampi airport, where Rio Tinto ships iron ore through Cape Lambert. The miner said at the time nobody got hurt in the accident, which involved about 38 wagons of the self-driving train. A similar incident occurred with an autonomous Rio Tinto train in June last year, when as many as 30 wagons left the tracks about 12 miles from Dampier. Rio Tinto's peers, BHP and Fortescue, have also reported derailments at their iron ore operations in recent months. The most infamous Pilbara train derailment took place in 2018 when BHP was forced to deliberately push a runaway train off its track. The machine was almost 3 kilometers long, and its 4 locomotives and 268 wagons were fully laden. At one point, the locomotive reached average speeds of about 110 kilometers per hour, 68 miles per hour, on the track between Newman and Port Hedland. Rio Tinto, the world's largest iron ore producer, operates about 14,000 ore cars across the Pilbara rail network, each of which can hold an estimated 118 tons of iron ore.
That's a lot.
The goddess can only say, when something happens once, it's an outlier. When something happens twice, it's a coincidence. When something happens 3 or more times, this may be a trend. The goddess has to wonder about this whole autonomous train thing. It's not looking too good at the moment here. One of these days, they are going to hurt somebody with those things. Just saying. So will the United States become the next Argentina? Argentina, isn't that where he is?
Melee? Your heartthrob?
Does that mean we could see President Trump saying, FBI, afuera! EPA, afuera! We should be so lucky. I would love it if Senor Afuera came here again. That man is really actually kind of smart.
He's also really funny.
Will the United States become the next Argentina? Let's give credit where credit is due. Facing down a record high budget deficit and an entrenched inflation problem, the government is finally embracing fiscal responsibility in a significant way. Really now. Thanks to sweeping spending cuts enacted this year, the government has posted 3 consecutive monthly budget surpluses, leading to a reduction in money supply growth and a marked lessening of inflation pressures. This hopeful state of affairs, sadly, doesn't apply to the government of the United States, of course. It describes what the government of Argentina is achieving under its new president, Javier Milei. The free market economist turned politician had campaigned with a chainsaw in hand. That was a good one, too. Vowing to cut government bureaucracy and bring down Argentina's triple-digit inflation rate. The media dismissed him as an eccentric protest candidate. That sounds familiar.
He is an eccentric
Then, when he
protest.
shocked everybody by winning the election decisively, the media said he couldn't or wouldn't actually follow through on his bold campaign promises. Rare is the politician who does. But after just a few months in office, Milei has actually abolished dozens of agencies and fired thousands of state bureaucrats. Be still my beating heart. He has slashed government bureaucracy by as much as 50%. Milei declared there will simply be no more deficit spending in Argentina. Zero deficit isn't just a marketing slogan for this government, it's a commandment. Conquering inflation remains a work in progress. After decades of rule by socialist politicians who promised endless streams of benefits that were never fully paid for, Argentina's economy was careening toward ruinous hyperinflation. Well, no shit, Sherlock. That sounds familiar. Last month, the monthly inflation rate in Argentina fell below 10% for the first time in years. Good for him. The official inflation rate in the United States, note the word official, people, has never reached Argentinian proportions. But its spiraling debt is starting to draw comparisons to countries that have seen their currencies and economies collapse due to reckless fiscal and monetary policy. Washington, D.C. has been warned over and over again it needs to change its spending habits. Well, no shit, Sherlock. U.S. government debt has been downgraded twice by major rating services. Its own central bank has called the fiscal path unsustainable. The Congressional Budget Office, Social Security, and Medicare trustees and other independent watchdogs within the government have also sounded alarms. Really now. All to no avail. Now the International Monetary Fund is warning unsustainable growth in U.S. government debt. Remember that little number back there? Which is projected to soar from $34 trillion to $46 trillion within a decade.
Just like SpaceX.
A lot shorter than that.
Soaring.
Poses a threat to the global financial system. Yeah. Meanwhile, Congress has just refused to even consider the recommendations of a bipartisan commission on tackling the debt. Well, yeah. Legislators have decided they don't want to be told they're spending too much money they don't have and are promising too many people too many benefits that cannot be paid. This may explain why people on the platform formerly known as Twitter this week were so shocked, annoyed, and disgusted when they discovered that lots and lots of illegal immigrants are getting Social Security benefits, both disability and supplemental security income. Quite bizarre how that happens. Totally unaccountable, you know. Just saying. It seems clear at this point politicians will not act to avert a crisis. Well, no shit. They will only act in response to one when they have no other alternative. Absolutely. For a brief period in the late 1990s, it appeared as though federal finances were on a sustainable path. Republicans in Congress pushed hard to balance the budget. President Bill Clinton famously declared, "The era of big government is over." Everyone should know by now that Democrats always lie. Just saying. The era of big government wasn't over, of course. It continued to grow year after year, regardless of which party controlled the levers. And despite former President Donald Trump's vow to drain the swamp is bigger and murkier than ever. Yeah, of course. Nobody in Washington even talks seriously about balancing the budget anymore. For decades, fiscal conservatives, yeah, all two or three of them, have been trying to axe funding to the National Endowment for the Arts and the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. Yeah.
No,
the goddess will get onto that one in a minute. Yeah,
No afuera there, huh?
Cutting these non-essential programs wouldn't balance the budget, but the fact they seem to be untouchable, even though they're unaffordable, symbolizes the broader failure of U.S. fiscal policy. By contrast, Argentina's Javier Milei wasted no time cutting off funds to state-sponsored media outlets. Yeah, he afuera public television. Will the United States become the next Argentina? It's looking like the U.S. will have to experience a much worse inflation problem before the government feels compelled to change course. Things will likely have to get worse before they get better. Well, no shit, Sherlock. The goddess will say this: I would love to see any useless government program disappear. I would love to see any useless government funding at all, NPR, public broadcast, anything disappear. Just a little $60,000 something. But the biggest problem is they never want to cut the funding that should be cut. It's always this feel-good crap. Now, the goddess does like Rand Paul, okay? Don't get me wrong. The goddess loves Rand Paul. The goddess loves reading Rand Paul's Festivus list of the grievances every year. The goddess loves reading all of these ridiculous things that Rand Paul digs out of government budgets, like us paying to feed birds cocaine and things like this.
Can I be a bird? Can I be a bird?
But it is a symptom of the problem. First of all, that this stupid BS it happens in the first place at all. But more than that none of the substantive things are ever questioned, like foreign aid. Sorry, charity begins at home. Very much so. Well, at the moment, home seems to be Ukraine, since they're going to be getting another several $100 billion there pretty soon. Just saying, what's a rounding error between friends? Not much. By the way, that millions number is now up to 472 million.
Okay.
Just since I started talking. Just saying, I thought you might want to know it's going up faster than the speed of light now, which is kind of cool. The only thing that travels faster than the speed of light is gossip and our national debt number. Just saying.
Yeah, it was Newt Gingrich. Yep.
The resurgence of gold and silver as money. A TV interview with J.P. Cortez. In a recent episode of Kitco News that you guys can look up, host Jeremy Zaffron focused on Money Metal's national advocacy efforts by introducing J.P. Cortez, executive director of the Sound Money Defense League, about the resurgence of sound money policies across the United States. And this is a very promising thing. About 3/4 of states now have passed some sort of law or other that removes all taxes when you do a currency exchange between the pretty colored toilet paper and gold and silver, which are real money. We'll gloss over the fact that there never should have been charges on that transaction to begin with in terms of taxes, but oh well. At least they're going away now. Quite a few states have also said no CBDCs, CBCCs are not real money. We'll see how long that sticks when the feds do it, but what can we say? The initiative, led by Sound Money Defense League and Money Metals Exchange, is deeply rooted in the U.S. Constitution, which originally recognized gold and silver coins as the official form of money in Article 1, Section 10. We all know about that one. Cortez discussed the constitutional revival underway across several states aiming to eliminate taxes on precious metals and reintroduce them into daily transactions. That is another thing that is happening in some states. Some of the states that have removed the tax status on them have also said that you can use them as legal tender to pay public debts to the state. And a few are even passing legislation to take a portion of their state budgets and put it into gold and silver. Okay? So we do have some glimmers of hope happening here. Just saying. And there's a weird thing happening in South Korea. I don't know how much you know about Korea, but convenience store gold is flying off the shelves in Korea. Tiny bars of gold are flying off the shelves in South Korean convenience stores. Yeah. In South Korean convenience stores, they actually sell little 1 gram bars of gold. Can you believe that nonsense? I mean, this is just kind of cool. Yet another example of the movement of gold from west to east, because we're idiots and they ain't. Korea's largest convenience store chain, CU, has teamed up with Korea Minting and Security Printing Corporation, Comsco, and boy, they make beautiful silver rounds. Seriously, wonderful products. To offer customers fingernail-sized gold bars. The bars come in a range of sizes between 0.1 grams and 1.87 grams. The largest bars sell for 225,000 won, the equivalent of about 165 bucks. So almost 2 grams of gold for 165 bucks. $82.50 a gram.
That's pretty pricey.
That's quite a premium. The gold is packaged in cards that feature various graphics and messages. The product is similar to the gold beans popular in China. Yeah, they do this in China too, and they're little gold beans. CU began selling the gold bars in April. 1 gram bars sold out within 2 days. And according to a Korean news report, CU had sold 60% of the total inventory by April 23rd. According to CU, the company plans to expand the gold product range with heavier weights, including 2 gram, 4 gram, and 10 gram bars. According to the news report, the majority of customers were millennials in their 30s and 40s. They accounted for over 70% of sales. Fractional gold bars are a convenient investment for young people with smaller incomes who want to own gold. Demand for the small bars dovetails with a more general trend of increased gold demand in Korea. According to the World Gold Council, demand for gold coins and bars increased by 27% year on year in the first quarter of 2024, the sharpest increase in Korean physical gold demand in more than 2 years. Like the U.S., Korea is dealing with sticky price inflation averaging around 3%. According to an article in the Korean Times, rising prices, especially food costs, are putting a squeeze on Korean customers. Inflation pressures are likely a factor in the surging demand for gold. Koreans have also been dealing with stagnant wages and record levels of debt. Wow, that sounds familiar. The country also reflects a broader trend of strong gold demand in Asian markets. We're seeing a movement of gold from west to east. Asian demand helped drive overall gold demand to the highest first quarter level since 2016. According to the World Gold Council, profit taking by Western investors contrasted with largely one way investment demand in Asia. Bar and coin demand in China surged by 68% year on year to 110 tons. Okay, we really got to get back to being America first in everything, people. Come on now. Gold bar and coin investment in India jumped 19% year on year. Meanwhile, physical gold demand fell modestly in the US and European markets. Rapidly increasing gold reserves of emerging market central banks, primarily in the East, also supported gold demand. The impact remains unclear, but there is no doubt now that gold's access is moving to the East, particularly China. You know, this is a very ominous development, people. Really now. Totally not a good thing. Speaking of which, my friend Culture Currency, who has a YouTube channel, just put up a new video about silver and ways to get ordinary people to stack precious metals. Okay. Gold closed at $2,337.70, according to Kitco, and silver at $28.24, which is not bad at all. Platinum was at $1,001 and palladium at $954, rhodium at $4,600. The goddess will say she's hearing all kinds of interesting rumors that gold premiums are falling in local coin shops. The goddess has also noted that there are more and more offers coming out from online silver websites like AppMex, etc. More and more push offers going out on people's smartphones offering generic silver at spot, would you believe? So keep your eyes out for that kind of thing. With falling premiums here and there, you know, that is something to consider. The goddess is not a fan of buying online. You should all know that by now. I prefer using cash in person because it minimizes anything even approaching a paper trail. That said, any buying of precious metals and building your stack is better than no buying of precious metals at all. Because the pretty colored toilet paper, whether anybody wants to talk about it or not, is getting less and less valuable by the day. Speaking of odd, bizarre things in that regard, combating illegal corporate behavior. Democrat lawmakers, oh dear, urge Biden to use executive action against high food prices. Now, before we get into that, there's a couple of other interesting, bizarre data points that the goddess picked up this week in food. First of all, the yo-yos out there in California, what else is new, are thinking about passing a new law that will affect, as they put it, certain retail food businesses. They did not get specific here, but it seems to be aimed at grocery stores. This law will no longer allow self checkout. You'll have to have cashiers. Interestingly enough, Walmart in particular is already experimenting with different types of cashing out across the country. While we were on the road, we saw Walmart checkouts that were only scan and go for Walmart Plus customers only. Because if you're a Walmart Plus customer and you pay them $100 a year, it stores your card on file, so you can scan your own groceries and walk out the door with them, and then it bills your card, which is like ridiculous. Okay. We're also seeing a lot of stores like Walmart and Target in high theft areas when the locking up large numbers of things did not work because they had to start locking up everything. They have, in fact, been shutting down their self-checkouts entirely and going back to using cashiers. Not using very many cashiers, but at least using cashiers. It might have something to do with that rash of viral TikTok videos showing how people game the self-checkout system. Just saying, you know. But in a more interesting side note on this issue, we are not yet hearing what is happening with Wendy's and other fast food companies, and they're experimenting with dynamic pricing. I don't know if you missed this one, but apparently, oh, you're going to love this anyway. Certain fast food companies decided to try dynamic digital pricing and surge pricing. This is where, if you happen to be in the drive through line or standing in line at the counter during a busy time of the day, you get to watch the price on your meal go up right in front of your eyes because it is a high demand period. And if you happen to be in the drive through or in the store during a not busy time of the day, well, then by golly gee willikers, you're going to see your price go down a little bit because it's not a busy period. And they team this up with push notifications on people's phones so that you can actually put in a little alert and they will notify you when the price is dropping on your favorite food so you can use the app to buy it. So cool, huh? I'm thrilled. Can't you tell? So, it turns out that Walmart is looking at trying dynamic pricing, dynamic digital pricing, as they call it, in 500 stores.
DDP.
The plan here is their digital dynamic pricing scheme is going to be based on the store inventory level. If the store is overstocked on something, or piles of meat are going to be thrown out in a few hours, or piles of milk are going to be thrown out, then the price will be lowered, first come, first serve. If, on the other hand, they're running low on something and it's a high demand sale item, the price is going to go up, first come, first served. And there won't even be price tags on the shelf. Now, the goddess wants to know right now, there are precious metals websites that use this type of pricing because, well, guess what? The prices of gold and silver are changing all day. Okay. So, for instance, if you go to Money Metals or you go to Apmex and you grab one of their specials and you put it in your cart, a nice big timer will come up and says 15 minutes, and it says, you got 15 minutes to enter in your payment information, or else you're going to lose this price. And remember, hundreds of other people have it in their carts and are doing this like crazy, trying to get their information in at the same time. So it may sell out even before you can grab it anyway. This really sounds like something out of the Hunger Games, kind of, sort of. As a matter of fact, I am picturing the odds never being in my favor. Okay? This is one of the more dystopian ideas that our dearly beloved food industry has come up with. But that still does not excuse this particular situation. Greedflation is a myth. It is for the most part. And Democrats are well aware of this. However, they will never acknowledge corporate greed isn't the root cause of inflation, as greed tends to be constant in the economy. What changed is the overstimulation of the economy through failed Bidenomics, which involves spending over $1 trillion every 100 days. Note that number. In the early days of Russia's special operation in Ukraine, the Biden administration was able to scapegoat any failed economic policy on the Putin price hike narrative. You notice how that one went away? Not so much anymore. As they pivoted the propaganda cannon from Putin to mega corporations through their cheerleaders at leftist corporate media outlets. Now it's all about greedflation and shrinkflation. Now, shrinkflation is absolutely a thing. The goddess has been tracking that for decades now. Greedflation is very seldom the thing that everybody thinks it is. Shown below via Bloomberg data, there's a really cool chart. Headlines featuring greedflation in corporate media spiked in the summer of 2023, right around the time the Biden administration launched the Bidenomics propaganda campaign. We all know Bidenomics has stoked a complete inflation shitstorm. However, Biden's team is giving greedflation one last shot ahead of the November presidential election, and we'll come back to that, to deflect blame on corporations for why working poor Americans can no longer afford to pay rent, eat at restaurants, $1,000 monthly auto loans, and any other luxuries they were accustomed to before the worst inflation mess since the 1970s. Okay? Basically, Goldman's brightest warned the other day low-income consumers are in trouble. And yeah, the number of news articles talking about greedflation has been peaking just before every number gets readjusted that the Fed put out. And it's been climbing on a steady grade outside of that. We suspect the greedflation narrative won't stick. They haven't been on social media lately. It's sticking like glue. Just like the failed Bidenomics campaign, because Americans are waking up to the out of control spending in D.C. But anyway, Democrat Senator Elizabeth Warren, who once identified as a Native American, and other leftist lawmakers penned a very public letter all about the optics to the Biden administration requesting immediate use of executive action to lower food prices. Price controls, anyone? So here we have California trying to tell businesses that they are not allowed to use self checkout. They must hire cashiers. And now we have our Democrats in Mordor on the Potomac talking about using executive action to control prices. Quote, we commend the important steps your administration has recently taken on this issue, including steps to combat illegal and unfair corporate behavior, encourage competition in the food and grocery sectors, and more. The federal government should use every possible tool to lower food prices, Warren and other lawmakers wrote. They continued, we believe you can exercise your executive authority to take additional action to address rising food prices without congressional action. Americans are facing sky high food prices caused by excessive price gouging in food and grocery giants. Democrats begging for price control sounds like what communist or socialist lawmakers in third world countries do. Yet these lawmakers never learn a proper lesson. Look at Cuba, North Korea, and Venezuela when imposing price controls triggered shortages of surpluses, longer lines, lower quality products, and misallocation of products. Okay? If you want to look at the rest of that article, you can go to Zero Hedge. The goddess will say this: there is a disturbing push going on to get more economic control over our food supply. Consider some data points here. The mayor and other public officials in Chicago floating the idea once again of starting city-run and state-run grocery stores, ostensibly to provide low-cost groceries in food deserts and to combat racism, because high grocery prices are racist. We all know this. California, on one hand, yelling about greedflation, and on the other hand, wanting to mandate that grocery stores and stores like Walmart and Target must shut down self-service and hire cashiers, while they're planning to raise their minimum wage again. And the scheme that Walmart is floating with the dynamic digital pricing Hunger Games rolling out slowly across 500 stores. The list is yet to be announced, but when it is, the goddess will be all over that, and I will let you know what's going on. Add in grocery stores, politicians trying to use the power of their offices in certain disgusting places like San Francisco and Chicago to try to criminalize grocery stores and other stores wanting to close their doors because they're operating at steep losses due to theft, because those places are refusing to criminalize shoplifting and refusing to prosecute theft. And this is what is going on in California, because various stores in California are wanting to move out of places because they're losing a metric crap ton of money to shoplifting due to police not penalizing shoplifting, due to shoplifters not ending up with criminal records. And organized retail theft gangs are exploding throughout California. It's not just luxury products like Prada bags anymore and things like that. It's also your everyday products, your Tide, your diapers, your toilet paper, your milk, groceries. Okay? Somebody made off with a whole bunch of shrimp the other day somewhere. I forget where it was, but they basically emptied an entire cabinet full of shrimp in broad daylight and just wheeled the cart right out the door. You know, that kind of thing. So, of course, the obvious answer to that is the stores say, well, we can't afford to stay open, so we want to leave. And then the government says, well, you can't leave. We're going to make that very difficult for you to do. And the government could solve the problem of creating food deserts by actually enforcing the law. But rather than enforce the law and penalize the thieves, they want to penalize the stores because the goddess can pretty much guarantee this business of you must hire cashiers is not going to stop there. The next step is going to be, well, you must have a certain percentage of your registers staffed at all times, regardless of traffic in your store. Things of this nature. It's also going to directly put more cashiers in danger because as it stands now, these thieves have become very, very emboldened. Several ordinary cashiers and ordinary employees minding their own business in retail establishments in various parts of the country have been physically assaulted when they made the mistake of even looking in the direction of a brazen thief.
Little one. It seems to me there's been a couple of videos recently, last week or two, that indicate to me that the populations of these cities is deciding that if the criminal justice system can't mete out punishment,
we're getting to that.
Okay.
The other side effect, as Professor Hardrock was trying to lead his way to, we're seeing more people coming to their last nerve. I saw a very interesting video out of the dystopian hellscape that is New York City this week. It's looking more and more like that movie Escape from New York. Now, there was a dude in New York City who was having this habit of lassoing women around the neck in broad daylight and dragging them into alleys or in between cars and doing triple X-rated things to them in broad daylight. Well, this week, while somebody was filming him from what was probably a second floor balcony and not even yelling what the hell is going on, in broad daylight, this dude put his belt around a woman's neck and dragged her in between two cars and was getting ready to do his usual business. And some actual citizens intervened here. When the police showed up, the very irate citizens had this guy trapped back against a door somewhere while a whole bunch of people were still filming, and they were yelling about how this kind of crap should not be going on. And so the cops ended up defending this guy who was probably in a little bit of trouble because people were a little irate. And it was rather interesting to see the look of unease and fear and guilt on the faces of the police officers when they were trying to arrest this serial rapist and get him into their squad car, and people were a little bit upset about this. This kind of thing is going to become a little bit more common, the goddess believes, in certain areas at least, and for certain crimes. I've seen a couple of videos where people have followed shoplifters with carts full of groceries out of places like Walmart and Target, yelling at them, screaming at them, trying to stop them, and ultimately getting the grocery cart away from them and getting aggressive with them, which gets the actual Good Samaritan arrested. But, that's just the kind of thing that happens, you know? It's just the way it is.
Well, in my opinion, it's not going to be too long before the cops aren't going to be arresting the perpetrators. They're going to be scraping him up.
Well, it certainly would be a welcome change in some places. But the thing is, we need to start watching what these yo-yos are planning to do with our food supply, because there are still way too many people who are very resentful, are very ignorant, and are young, that absolutely have swallowed the greedflation narrative hook, line, and sinker. I'm not saying that price gouging doesn't happen, but what we are seeing now is not price gouging. Shrinkflation is in fact happening, and it's been happening for decades. These buzzwords are being used to get people to embrace the idea that a city like Chicago is going to take over these closed grocery stores and open them and be selling groceries at cost, and the cost is magically going to be 2018 prices again. That's the narrative that's being pushed.
Another data point. I saw one like yesterday or whatever, the video where some guy, and it seemed to be serious. He seemed to actually think this. I would love to have been able to question him myself, but he said that since farming is the biggest contributor to climate change.
Oh yeah, we need to stop farming.
We need to stop farming.
We've all heard that. These are the same people who will say we need to go vegan to save the planet. Go figure. You may never attribute rational behavior to irrational people. By the way, that billion number back there is now up to 525. Mm-hmm. So things are looking really good. But yeah, it is just...
Yeah, some people know these things, but other people apparently haven't even got...
So
I wonder if they understand gravity.
Where we are now is also, it turns out that H5N1 is in like 50 herds of dairy cows now. H5N1 is also being found in the wastewater in several major areas in Texas and Kansas City. They're beginning to prop up the narrative again that H5N1 has a 50% mortality rate.
I saw 60 today.
I hadn't seen 60 yet, but I'm pretty sure it's out there. And heaven only knows where this is going to go, but they're already touting the narrative that they're working on vaccines for this and they're in the pipeline. So at least we may not have to have lockdowns again.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So keep your pantry stocked. Start paying down your debt. Okay, you want to get as much of your colored paper in your hands as possible, because the colored paper, as you can see by the number back there, is getting less valuable by the minute. It has zero value anyway because it is a debt instrument. It is not money. It is currency and a debt instrument. Okay, it is not an asset. Don't even try to figure that one out. What was the other thing we were supposed to try to figure out? That the federal government's been practicing triple entry accounting again. Don't even worry about it. It happens all the time. So start converting your pieces of paper into physical assets. You got several commodities sectors that you can look at here. You've got fixing up your vehicles, paying off your vehicles. You've got upgrading your appliances or looking for something more robust in terms of appliances. You've got making your pantry a little bigger, doing any needed repairs on your house, things that probably could go another year, but if you've got the cash right now, do them right now. And always, always, always back up the truck and get yourself some gold and silver, because premiums are dropping around the country and more people are beginning to look at the metals as a safe haven. More people are asking questions. So make it a point, every single paycheck, just buy some. Dollar cost average this stuff. And the best way to handle this, I was talking to Jeff and his wife about that, when we were at Butte yesterday. Basically, if you're somebody that only makes big purchases, we're talking several hundred to a few $1,000s, about 5% of the time, then keep 5% of your money in fractional gold and gold ounces. Since you're not going to be using it that often, you can afford to take the hit on the premiums on fractionals. So get yourself some tenths and some quarters and some half ounces and some ounces for gold. And the rest of your money, you're looking at silver, because your day-to-day spending life is a lower budget thing. So for little things, ordinary things, when after everything has happened, 90% old US coinage, that's 90% silver. Everybody knows what it is. It's easy to figure out how much it's worth. And they're nice little denominations, so they can get nice little things. Sovereign modern coinage, because people trust Maple Leafs. People trust Britannias. People trust Perth Mint products in silver, not so much in gold. Sorry about that, Perth Mint. Not so much in gold, but the silver is still safe. People trust sovereign silver coinage. So that is a good thing to have. Generic rounds are great. Okay. I mean, I had a whole herd of buffaloes, and I had a great time upgrading that herd of buffaloes into real sovereign coinage. I got a great upgrade on my investment there. In that market, you're going for weight. Okay. Stay away from the anniversary rounds, the Christmas rounds, the Happy Easter rounds, the retirement rounds, etc., unless you're planning to melt them down. Everybody hates those. They don't even qualify very well as weight, okay? But buffaloes, Asahis, Aztecs, things of that nature, perfectly good weight. People recognize them. People are happy with them. People trust them. They don't have a premium attached to them. They're not worth more than the silver. If you want to go a little above that, you're looking at your Engelhard Prospector rounds, your Engelhard bars, your Heraeus bars, your JM bars, and your JM rounds, your Johnson Matthey products. They're known, they're recognized, they are considered both a premium product and a collectible product. People like them, okay? And if you're like me, you get all kinds of oddball generic rounds, because I love my oddballs, okay? But the thing is, this is the time to be trying to get your paper into commodities of all kinds, because we're not done with supply chain issues. We are not done with economic issues. We are not done with geopolitical bullshit. And the way they're beginning to yap about the H5N1 thing, I don't think we're done with pandemics at the moment either. So it's a good idea to begin to gather unto thyself commodities. Because if you don't hold it, you don't own it. And what is that bottom number over there right now, dude? The billion, the B.
Bottom number?
Yeah, the bottom number, the B.
436 million.
Well, yeah, 436 million. So it is now 539 million. So 103 million in an hour. Oh, that ain't nothing. We're fine. Bye-bye.
Oh. Hey, Smoking. What's up, if you don't mind telling? Oh.
Oh. We would have loved to see you when we were out east.
Yeah. Anyhow, hey, Brian. To what do you call it? Synopsize a little bit. Mr. Virtue says thanks. We had a busy week. We got to see Aurora. Brian says thank you, Eva. which was kind of cool. I've never seen aurora before. Our mill is now ready to actually start trying to crank some stuff through it. So that starts tomorrow. We'll see what kind of production and how we can tune the sluice to get the fine gold as well as possible. We got lots of different things to play with and pan down the cons and see what's going on. I got to see a gold strike device. Drag queen?
Drama queen.
Oh, it says drag queen. Hey, Keith, you turning into a drag queen? Just kind of draggy.
Yeah. No, not yet. He looks crappy in a dress, trust me.
Yeah. I got to. Well, that's for sure.
You need to fix the sign, dude. You're trying to impersonate the goddess.
Oh, is that it?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
No impersonating goddesses.
Goddess eye? Sure. Oh dear. That's not good smoking. They've got some experimental stuff right now that might be effective, especially if it's cancer. So there's possibilities, but it's not conventional stuff. You might have to look around a little bit. If you're say if it's inflammatory, yeah, meat and eggs and stuff can cut inflammation down. But oh well. If there's anything we can do, let us know. Anyhow, we got to see a gentleman and his family yesterday. He's a kind of a newbie in terms of the hard rock gold mining stuff, so we were able to have a nice, long conversation about a number of things. Hopefully, it was very helpful. And I also got to see a gold strike concentration machine, which it seemed to work, but nothing exceptional. And but the magnetic sluice that came with it seemed to do a real good job on catching the really fine gold, the 400 or 500 mesh stuff. A gold strike. Okay. I wouldn't worry about it, Brian. If you want details, you can email me and I'll give you some personal observations there. But the magnetic sluice seemed to do a pretty good job getting down to the 400 and 500 mesh. We panned the tailings and there really wasn't doodly in them. But the final sluice was still catching stuff, but it was real fine. And we'll be trying some stuff at our mill here. And let's see. Oh, and another thing too. He was digging out an old working and reported that he was starting to hear a hollow sound when he was digging. And we informed him that it's very important if you hear a hollow sound to get off of that and don't get back until you got full fall protection. I'm sorry we weren't able to stop smoking. We didn't know, but yeah. So where are you at anyway? I can't keep track of where my, I know Chris in California and Lars is in Southern California and Honey Bunny's in Arkansas and stuff. Central Wisconsin. Yeah, it would have been easy. Absolutely.
Get out that way again.
Yeah. we'll see. Now, the clogged arteries thing, I can tell you, my brother he has a cardiologist who's involved in research too. And according to him, according to my brother, his cardiologist says they have found that infusing high density lipoproteins into the bloodstream just acts like roto-rooter on arteriosclerosis. And just a second, P-Man. And then he says they've seen people that are almost on death's door become essentially healthy again almost immediately. Okay, whatever that meant, in the weeks sort of thing. Because it is apparently the high density lipoproteins, their job is to liquefy the low density ones. And so you might check that out, because as far as I know, the technology is now there. It's not been widely approved or whatever. The drug companies might not like it because it's a one and done sort of thing. And that's not how they make their money. But anyhow, so that's it. Yeah, please do smoking. If you need specific stuff, let me know, and I'll ask my brother and get some more stuff. But anyhow, when you say, how can I determine what is the direction a quartz vein is traveling underground? How much of the vein can you see is one of the big questions. If you just got a little chunk of vein, it's going to be pretty hard. On the other hand, like in a lot of areas, the quartz is significantly harder and more durable and resistant to weathering than the surrounding rock. And you will actually see a ridge, that's going on. And if you can see a lot of the vein, then you can determine what's known as strike. In other words, what's the direction of the vein along a horizontal plane. Then you have to figure out the dip. If this was a vein, okay, and it's like this would be the strike. What direction this is going? This would be the dip. And so you have to get someplace where you can actually see this angle here and get a good idea of what the angle is. If the vein is consistent and they can wobble and break and get displaced and all kinds of things. But if it's fairly consistent, you should be able to get a good idea. Now, as a rule of thumb, I have heard you can pretty confidently extrapolate 1/2 to 1/3 the distance you can see. For example, if you can follow that vein 300 feet along the surface, it probably goes at least 100 feet deep. That does not necessarily mean it's going to have the same amount of mineralization. One thing that I was mistaken on for a long time was you can have a vein that looks pretty consistent, but the mineralization within the vein is not consistent. You can have a vein that keeps going, but all the good stuff is in this section only. Okay? So just because the vein itself continues in a particular direction is really, relatively predictable in what its gross size, shape, and direction is, the actual mineralization within the vein can be highly variable. Hey, Shaggy, glad you made it. We had a busy week doing some stuff. I'll get some videos up here shortly, but basically auroras and putting the mill together and stuff like that. But that is essentially how you do it. And that is not extremely reliable. I say as long as you don't try and extrapolate too far, it's relatively reliable. But in in nature, everything is subject to God jerking your chain just for the look on your face. Okay, that vein that you're seeing that's so consistent could be on top of a horizontal fault line where it goes down 50 feet, then all of a sudden everything's been shifted 100 feet or 200 feet to some side or something like that, or even more. Um, it sometimes has been very frustrating to people who had good minds, but the vein just gets sheared off. It's cut off. It went somewhere, and it can be very difficult. Near Tucson, where I used to live, they had the San Manuel mine, and the ore body was cut and true by a fault, and like the lower part was, as I recall, 1,000, 1,500 feet displaced from the upper part. You know, so when you got a good ore body and it's been cut by a fault line, they really want to see where that other piece is laying because it can be really, really valuable. But those are the basic principles in detail. And for the kind of reliability you need to invest a lot of money, you drill. With a vein, you would generally want to use a core drill so you can actually visualize the exact rock that the drill is going through. If you were dealing with a massive deposit, a disseminated deposit, you can usually just chemically analyze and geologically analyze the minerals in the chips that a drill bit breaks up, and then they flush it back to the surface and then get them. So I say you can't. Now there's somebody brought up, is it magnetic? If it has a lot of conductive minerals or magnetic minerals or stuff like that, there can be certain geotechnical methods that might be able to find it. You can see the disturbance in the Earth's geomagnetic field. You can induce a current into the ground and see how the conductivity of the rock changes in 3 dimensions. None of those are cheap. Of course, neither is drilling. I would not be surprised, Brian. It is, in fact, a food additive. I haven't looked at any details yet. And so that's the.
Why? What did Brian say?
Says the glycine at Geo is kosher and vegan.
Well, yeah, glycine would be vegan in general.
Glycine would be vegan, yeah. But anyhow, so as I say, that's in general how you would find these things. For someone with our budgets, usually you find an outcrop, you follow the outcrop, you measure things, you determine your strike, your dip, things like this, and then you guess. It's an educated guess, but nevertheless, if you can't see it, you're guessing it's there. You extrapolate, you interpolate, and you hope that those extrapolations and interpolations reasonably agree with reality. There's no guarantees they will. That's why the big companies who are investing big money drill. The only guarantee is a lot of drill holes or an actual excavation, one or the other. When I worked at Goldfields, they had spent several $1,000,000 to drive a decline into the ore body just to get bulk samples of the rock to make sure that a heap leach would get a good recovery and determine what the parameters, what the optimal parameters were that, so they could design the plant and the equipment to do what needs to be done efficiently. If you're planning on crushing to 2 inches, and then you find that you got to crush to 3/4 inch to get good recoveries, well, things are changing now. So I'd say that's why they do that. But there's no substitute for actually having a chunk of the rock in your hand. Yep. And as Jim says, you keep paying attention as you're going and adjust as indicated. If what you're doing is not getting you what you expected, you may need to do some more smaller scale tests, some bulk analysis to see what's going on. But if something doesn't look right, assume it's not right until proven otherwise, because that's when life will bite you hard in the butt, is when you say, well, I thought something was a little off here, and you didn't check. That's when you can really pay the price. If you're not sure what's going on, if it's not doing what you expect, double check, triple check. Make sure that at the end of the week, you go to bed going, I know what's going on. Or I'm not worried because whatever can go wrong is not going to be very big. Well, it's not just the testing too, but you've got to keep your mind open to the possibility that, wow, I can't figure out how that could happen, but it did. For example, the volatilization of gold. I had the same feeling that Honey Bunny did, that, yeah, gold's not going to evaporate. Boy, was I wrong. But it became obvious pretty quickly that something wasn't going according to predictions. We knew how much solution we had. We know what the stuff going into the resin was running. We know what the stuff coming out of the resin was running. There's a certain amount of gold supposed to be in the resin, and we aren't getting it. That's a good one, P-Man. But it didn't seem plausible to me, but it did. But how would you know if it? Why would you spend thousands of dollars to do something you don't think is going to happen, Honey Bunny? That's why I say, when you see something was going awry, then you go, okay, find out what it is, and then see how you deal with it. Where do we send you money? If you want to donate, go to any of my videos, and at the beginning, during the intro credits, is both a Patreon and a PayPal address.
PayPal is
if you want it. Pardon?
PayPal is preferred at the moment.
PayPal is preferred, she says, at the moment. But anyhow,
it's easier to access.
You can just send a one-time payment to PayPal, or you can do it, repeatedly if you wish, or you can set up a Patreon. Whatever, doesn't matter. Do you have a P.O. box? Yes, we do. Hey, Helena, Montana. 59624, little one?
Yes.
What the hell is it doing? Good Lord. There we go. Yeah, you can oxidize them chemically in a liquid environment, or you can do it in a, you can heat it to high temperatures in an oxidizing environment or whatever. There's a number of ways of doing it. Thank you, Matt. P-Man. That just sounds weird. Sorry. Mr. Man. I've got the others set up. And we're really not trying to raise money aggressively. It's not necessary.
But it is appreciated.
It's appreciated. But especially like if we were to monetize the channel, YouTube would start pushing it and we would get buried with information requests and this and that. Plus, and the other.
Probably get stupid ads.
Yeah. And so we've been kind of the one time it really, really was important and appreciated was when I had to have my order replaced, and I was basically shut down for 3 months or something like that. Mm-hmm. And you guys stepped in and donated, and we had a pretty good Patreon coming in. We got a number of individual donations that were substantial, and I don't know how we would have made it through without that. And I appreciate it deeply. It's very humbling when people bail you out like that. But it was important at the time, and right now it's not as important. So we just basically let people donate as they wish, and I don't really push it. We provide an opportunity, and everyone can do what they want. If we need help, we'll ask for it. The last time I recall, when Eva got cancer, I specifically said on the video, we're not financially, it's not theoretically going to be a problem, but if it does, we'll let everyone know. There's so many people that need help, that we just kind of keep a low profile unless we need it. But yeah, I appreciate it, Mr. Man. And if you have any questions or whatever, please ask. The Monday evening live stream is a good place. It drives conversation and stuff. And yeah, I agree with that, Honey Money. Real gold will work. Digital gold relies on computers. Paper gold is like sold multiple times. Yeah. Wow, $2 a pound, 2.5 tons, huh? Wow. Apparently smoking cleaned up his old shooting range when it shut down for a bit and sold 2.5 tons of lead.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. Sweet.
Excellent.
Yeah, Brian. Be happy to. Say, be happy to exchange stuff for information.
Absolutely.
I don't think you're in our area, Shaggy. So I don't think that I know people around here that buy trees. Around here, wood is a very common heating source in the wintertime. And I know Jim and Lauren use wood for heating. I don't, but we don't have any way to burn it. And I know the claim holder I work for a lot, he does. He has as wood heat in at least one of his buildings. So it's very common up here. And around here, the forest management is so poor that it doesn't take much effort to find a place where you can drive up to a forest with a bunch of dead trees laying on the ground. It's sad but true.
It's mostly on federal land.
Yeah. So I don't think you can smoking. Why don't you post it on, or is it a YouTube video and you're just posting a link? Because if it was a YouTube video, we could post a link there. Facebook, I don't know. Okay, Chris, on your recommendation. Okay, smoking, you're going to get the blue wrench. Standard moderator. Okay, smoking, you are now a standard moderator, which means you should be able to post a link. Okay? So you should be able to type in a link and it will become active. Oh, there we go. Let's see. I don't have a Facebook thing, but let's see if it'll show me anyway. This link isn't available anymore. Huh. I linked to Facebook, but it's not you, smoking. Does anyone else? Apparently you took it down. Forgot to set it back up again, huh? It's all electron magic to me. Oh. Well, once he gets that up, I'm starting to get a little bit tired. It's been about 3 hours again. It's nice to see you again, Chris. I hope you're doing better here soon. That's got to be very frustrating, and it's very upsetting. Let's wait and see what Smoking comes up with here. He says he's going to put it up. I presume that means it doesn't have to load. It just needs to be activated. I could be wrong. Okay, let's see. I need a link. There we go. See more of it. No, I don't want to. I don't have a Facebook account.
You have a Facebook, you just never use it.
So what? Okay, I've got a login thing here. Do I just push login and it'll automatically log me in?
What are you trying to do?
Trying to see a video that Smoke and Joe can put up.
Your Facebook is open on my phone.
Okay. Have you got it to where you can see the video that he just posted the link on my chat? That's my thought. That's what I'm saying. Yes, it says I got to do all kinds of things.
I'm trying to. We do not use the Hard Rock University on Facebook at all.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, let's see. Chris said had another MRA today. Damn. Hope things go well. Yeah, it's me, Shaggy. Anyhow.
Yeah, I don't see anything on.
Yeah, I don't either. Oh, I don't think it's like cancer or anything like that, but he's got a back issue that's difficult. You know how those can be.
No, I've been trying to get rid of the Hard Rock University thing because we never use it.
Yep. Okay. Well, I think if nobody else has got anything else, we can go ahead and give it a second. Yeah, I know the Eco Goldex will work at some ambient temperatures, but I'm curious to see the glycine. Let's see, I don't see it. Oh. Okay. Anyhow, you take care, Chris. Let's see if I can. Come on. Stupid phones. Man trolls his rich neighbors. This is a funny thing. I got this stuff on Facebook where it's showing me stuff, but not yours smoking. Either that or it says, do I want to log in? All righty.
I don't.
Well,
I can try to get you logged in on that, but then you'll be off on my phone.
Yeah, don't worry. Well, I guess you might as well post it, honey bunny. Yeah, I'm very blessed. I'm doing pretty good. Okay, get it up to YouTube. And that way we can do it that way. Take care, Jim. See you sometime. You take care. Okay, everyone. As it says, happy prospecting and keep it safe out there.